and I say welcome back to the Precision Data Links channel this Monday evening. We're continuing to work with the R and R virtual environments. This is a brief recap of the story to date. You create a top-level directory for your project. Then you start the R shell. Okay. So just located the saved workspace. Then you're going to say, you go to install all right. Install that. Then you go run the first time, and you only run this once. Then it downloads a whole boatload of packages, installs them on your system. Then you begin to go by, and then you begin to do your install packages statement. Right, you go back and install your packages. After that's done, you do a snapshot. And what that does is that actually saves to a file, a lock file, which is a text file that contains all the information about the package that this project is going to use. And at that point, that's really where you're at. So now, from this point on, we're going to use Quattro to create our documents. Let's take a look at our very simple code to date. Because we're using Quattro, we're going to create an HTML document. So you got your YAML at the top, title, format, output format. This says create a level 2 headers. And this says load the Tidyverse and janitor libraries. And this says read our file and create a data frame called autos, and then list out the structure of the data frame. Okay, and that looks like this right here. 398 rows, 9 columns, car name, origin, build year, fuel efficiency, cylinders, engine volume, and so forth, horsepower. Okay, now origin, build year, cylinders, okay, should be categorical variables, right? So if we're correct here, we can come over like this and do some kind of funky. All right, we're going to say colon $sign. Let's come back over here first. Let's change this to summary. Okay. All right. Let's minimize this. Let's come over here. So this says, so it's going to render the QMD document into an HTML format if it works correctly. And we could do something really kind of funky with the as.factor function. Okay, we could actually change the summary so we get some really interesting information regarding some of the categorical variables. All right. Okay, let's come back over here now. Now, auto name, year is not a numeric variable, right? It's a categorical variable, right? Origin certainty is a categorical variable. What about cylinders? Is cylinders a categorical variable? I'm going to say yes, it is. So we'll come back over here. All right. We're going to change origin And changing some of these things to factors is a really good way to you get some very quick statistical information about your and you'll see what you get is some very quick information, statistical information about your data, okay? It'll tell us, for instance, the number of autos by year. It'll tell us the number of autos by origin. I'm going to say cylinders is also a categorical variable, okay? Now, of course, this is counting on the fact I'm actually spelling all the column names correctly. Okay, let's minimize this. By the way, we can actually name the chunks, okay? Let's take a look and see what changed. So, we have 249 cars from America, right? 70 from Europe, 79 Japanese. Most of the cars are from, so this gives us a summary of by year, the number of cars by year. Okay, cylinders, 3, 4. Well, this would make 204 cylinders. Heck, holy smoke, that's a lot of cylinders, isn't it? 684, so this is kind of, cylinders is kind of odd, isn't it? Okay. So now we got some basic information. So we say, let's say for instance, we want to do a plot. Let's see if we can do a plot. It's by cylinders, okay? We can use a simple count function let's do a plot by origin. Okay. We're going to say, I'm going to pipe this. All right. We're going to try to do a plot of it. X equals what? Equals n, because we want the no. Yeah, we want the n, which is the number. Let's see if this works. It should work because we're saying count the number of, do a count by origin. Then take the output and pipe that to a ggplot command. And as always, whenever you're doing a count, the the actual column, the column name for the count is just n. Okay? So let's see what happens now. Let's do something funky. Let's see something here. Let's just say summarize. And let's say, all right. So we'll see if the names for the various chunks show up now. Okay, and we'll also see if I didn't make an error here. You know, naming your chunks can be helpful if you're debugging stuff. Oh, see, we got the name of the chunks. Okay, right? That is always the case. You know, don't be bashful. Stop by the chat session and say hi. Okay, and there's your basic plot. All right. Now it's not sorted by number, but for our purposes right now, that's okay. Now we could come back over here, right? Now there is a way that we could try to do a reorder, but that's don't. And we can say x equals so let's just try this. Let's just see if we can make it a little bit prettier. Oh, it's not lab. Well, that gives us a chance to do one other thing. Okay, let's come up here. Let's see if this will work. Let's try. See if this will work. So this should give us a, if it works, it'll give us a legend. Okay, a legend. It'll give us a legend. Okay, back over here. Okay, that didn't quite work, did it? Let's try this. Do I need to change that to color instead? We'll see. Of course, what can we do? Hey, we could also use ChatGPT to say, hey, change this plot so that, and also turn off the, okay, so let's try this instead. Now, if worse comes to worse, hey, guess what? We'll just pop up a ChatGPT and have it fix it for us, okay? So, let's do this. Let's don't pussyfoot around, okay? Our time is valuable, right? Open up this, come over here, and go over here. Oh, wait. And sort by. Now, we could sit there and try to hash that out, right? But why? Why? I'm not sure that's really necessary, but we're going to leave it there anyway. See, this fill should automatically show the origin, right? So let's just copy the whole thing. Minimize this. Let's just come down here. Let's just replace all this, okay? Not even mess around. Alright, now obviously, you know, ChatGPT has a tendency to sort of like over-exaggerate things, alright? There you have it, a nice little plot, count by autos, count of country, okay? Very nice. Alright, let's come back over here now. Let's think about our numbers. We got horsepower, we got mileage, right? right? No, wait a second. We may still have the original one over here. Let's go back over for a second. Right. You got horsepower, you got cylinders, you got fuel efficiency. So what we can do is, wonder what this represents. Acceleration is what? Kilometers per hour. So what we can do is we can, for instance, plot horsepower versus fuel efficiency, okay? You know, horsepower versus acceleration, for instance, also, right? Horsepower versus weight. Okay, so I say 3 views, so where are you people out there? Okay. Minimize this. So once again, right? Let's put horsepower on the let's start by putting it on the x-axis. Now, I think we can safely guess as the horsepower goes up, hey, don't even mess around. Let's start with adding a smooth, okay? So let's stop and take a brief look here. You know what? And this, you know what? This is actually going to be a since if you're in the background and you want me to continue, stop by the chat session and say hi. In other words, this is going to be the final activity for this evening, if it works. So you can see that the chunk labels can be helpful for you know, for troubleshooting. And again, we're using what's called Quattro to render the document. Geom points. So is it geom point? Okay, so maybe it's just point. Because you would think it'd be scatter, right? But no, it's not scatter. Because point describes actually what the plot is, right? See right there? There's all our chunks. There we go. And there, my friends, is your scatter plot. Okay. And we're going to, of course, we can come back next time. We can do something like, add like, you know, I don't know. We can call it a plots by the country of origin. So we can see which, so anyway, as you can generally see, now this is interesting. This doesn't make any sense, does it? How can fuel efficiency go up as horsepower goes up? That's kind of interesting. I mean, we could, for instance, you know, call it the plots according to the vehicle. We could call it the plots based on the number of cylinders they have, but that's the subject for a different video. Okay, so let's come back up here. Let's leave off right here. All right, and we'll catch you tomorrow night, and we'll continue.